Hi there, and thank you for clicking on my video. A Valkyr Talon build was requested. So, of course, this video is going to be conjoined with a Valkyr Prime Hysteria build as well, or at least talk of it, because I can't show it right now because of Forma. But shortened to the point, here's the build I've chosen. I'm not going to go too much into the math, but it is straight up crit chance, crit damage, base damage, and faction damage. Because the status chance on the weapon is so low, due to the nature of this being an exalted weapon, you can't use Acolyte or Sentient mods on this. So this is the best of what we got. As you can see, this is a very expensive build. Every spot is formed. Um, though it is a little overkill, like obviously you could leave a V, right? But it is what it is. In order to fit sacrificial steel on here, and there's a reason for it. Um, you are able to stat stick the talons. So let's go into this. Just go over it. Base damage, element, raw damage. So we're going against Grenier with this. So corrosive, faction damage to corrosive, attack speed, crit damage, and range. The one major alternative to this is if you do not have Prime Smite Grenier, more range is absolutely wonderful on this. Spring loaded blade puts in work, gets you up to 6.7 range. Reason why is normally there's like talk of like follow through and what's like an optimum range, like what's too much. Generally, having a lot of range is really nice. But if the enemies start grouping, like you're doing a solo survival or something, or solo farming, or just want to go kill some stuff, the enemies can sometimes start mobbing you at higher levels. So you end up hitting so many enemies that your damage, because of the follow through punishment, gets reduced down to 0. Because this is an exalted weapon, look at that follow through. 100 pennies on the dollar. Absolutely no damage lost between enemies. So range puts in work on here. So if you want to do this, you absolutely can. But I went with this because they tend to die pretty fast anyway. Um, so stat stick is pretty simple. Everything else on here is conditional. The main ones are the 3 Glad mods. Jugulus Barb, the set, the slam attacks manifest tendrils to lash enemies within 3 meters. This is just for an additional status proc occasionally. The tendril stun for sure, and occasionally you get a puncture proc out of it. It's just for a little bit of RNG. Saxum is a little bit more beneficial. Lifted enemies explode on death. The explosion still happens if you kill them, but it has a ridiculous timer. The set bonus on this is inaccurate. 10% max health, nothing wrong with that, though it does get murdered by armor. But the big deal with this is that the explosion is blast damage, obviously. So another status proc, basically. And just because I had mod space, I threw Carnus Mandible on here for the hell of it. Killing an enemy with a heavy attack grants 10% evasion and immunity. You're going to be in your 4. You're going to be pure iframes anyway. But just to have the additional status immunity, because with this build you are going to be swapping in and out, it can help you a little bit. But it's not fully effective. And quickening, I don't know, it's just on here. The combo count chance does apply though. And our primer, which we will not be using for damage, using the Sea-Doo Glaive just to get some extra statuses on it. Heavily weighted into corrosive, because you can prime corrosive with corrosive. So we've weighted it accordingly. This is a build I made on that Sea-Doo video a couple videos ago. So it's just a ton of corrosive, so when the glaive hits and the AoE hits, there's a high chance for corrosive to be procced, because we need that mostly for the priming. And dexterity to help with holster speed, and I'll show why that's important. The Valkyr build is a bit of a meme. Obviously, you are not going to do this. But let's talk about the stats that are important. Strength and efficiency. If you look at the ability for Hysteria, Strength gives you base damage on the 4. You want to dump stat range as much as possible. And it's like a free stat to dump stat when you're doing a 4 build. Because there is a minimum on the radius that this has, and we'll talk about that in a second. There's a radius that causes you to deal damage to yourself if enemies are in it. So if you're killing, the radius is small. If you're not, it grows, is more or less it, but we'll talk about it in a second. So as much efficiency as possible, even with 6.4 drain at max, you can still easily maintain your energy pool. And corrosive projection, just to help those corrosive weighted punches hit harder. Didn't run energize. You're not going to need it. Eternal War also benefits from strength. Duration also. The radius we really don't care too much about, because if you're within 10 meters of an enemy, you should be punching them in the face. So I'm not worried about the AoE slow. The armor increase doesn't help. The speed decrease on the enemies is whatever. It's nice. It keeps them close to you, allows you to stick to them a little more. But mostly we're after the speed increase, right? On the attack speed. Arcane Strike, more attack speed. Arcane Fury, more melee damage on critical hit. And since we're going to be hitting pure reds, we got plenty of that. So those are the important ones. As much strength as you can get on while maintaining a decently low energy per second, so you can stay in your 4 as much as possible. So strength, I would say synth reflex for a stable Valkyr build is pretty required just to get the holster speed up. And I'll show that in a second. Equilibrium, we're going to be running the Panzer Vulpaphyla. I know, surprise, with the synth set. So as the spores deal damage, you're picking up health orbs, gets converted into energy, because when your Hysteria counts as a channeled ability, right? So if you're running the Focus School, that gives you energy per second based on like the energy orb pickup, that's canceled because you have an ability going. So we're going to be using Equilibrium to get our energy back, and I'll show you how effective it is. I'll do a little bit of Steel Path. But other than this is an old build. I was using Hunter Adrenaline to get my energy back and swap back and forth. But anyway, so that's the important thing. Strength. You can easily dump stat range, and I would recommend you do so. Efficiency, even at 100%, I've still got reasonably low drain, at least enough that I can maintain the energy drain on it. If you don't have narrow-minded, you can run like prime continuity and streamline, and let's see what that's at. It's a little bit more, but then if you do message, right? 6.6, that's easily doable. Prime continuity, then you do this. Yeah, it goes down a little bit more. So let's put that stuff back. But it's just, it gets you to a decently low amount, and because of the way her range works, the radius, it does help to have lower range. So let's get that back on. Transient Fortitude. So even with 6.4 drain, it's not too bad. Oh, and the synth one. So there we go. And obviously the holster is super nice. So let's look at the raw damage real quick. And I'll show you another reason why I prioritize duration over efficiency. The energy is not really going down because we're picking up from the health orbs. You can see them being converted. No real energy loss. And 10 million on a heavy attack. That's enough to do some damage. Oh, okay, so the range issue. See the little red orb? Or the red sphere? It expands from 5 meters to 20 meters. And if you notice up in the top right, next to my my health and shield, there's a little percentage that's going up. Like 40, 41, 42, that one. The damage on it, you can see it's storing damage. And this damage is a percent of the damage absorbed. Or prevented, sorry. And it stores that amount of damage. So when you enter, or if you ever go out of energy... Oh, I went into C2. Hold on, we'll do it again. So as I absorb damage, the drain amount, or the impact damage, which is what that is, continues to go up. And if I run out of energy, that detonates on me. The condition that prevents it is that anything inside the red circle, if there are any enemies that can see me and are inside the red circle, those two conditions being met, I will receive damage when I leave, like that. So it's a double-edged sword. So as long as nothing can see me, or nothing's in the red circle, like I get out of that, nothing was in the red circle, so I can leave, no problem. That time I just got killed. So nothing's in the red circle. I don't take any damage when I'm... So let's see, there's nothing in the red circle. Shield gate saved me. But if you take this damage, shield gate it won't shield gate. It's direct to health damage. So as long as you have health and energy to maintain your 4, but if you try to deactivate it when something's in the red circle, you will take damage from the ability. So how do you deal with that? Killing stuff reduces the range by 1. See how close it is now? So it goes from 20 to 5 meters at the lowest, and it has a permanent 5 meter mark. So it's a downside to her 4. But if you can maintain your energy efficiency just from picking it up from the Panzer health orbs, you're permanently immune. Like, permanently. So it's food for thought. It's definitely high risk, high reward, because if you mess up, the ability will bite you in the ass. Alright, so let's kill these guys. We'll pause them. Load up some more. So how do you deal damage? So we're in our 4 right now, right? If you can maintain shield gate... So the synth set allows us to swap... Or the the synth holster speed Exilis mod and the dexterity arcane on the Sea-Doo allows you to swap almost instantly. And as long as you can do it in about a second. So real quick. Right? So you're in melee, aim, and you're back in. Shield gate will protect you while you prime. So, like, you'll be going up to enemies, you prime them, in and out. And there you go. And that's how you play it mostly, is you just run around priming. I like using the Sea-Doo with Valkyr. So you're in melee, aim, alt fire. $18 million on a heavy attack. Gotta love it. So that's kind of the game style. So her full kit being loaded up is we're in our 4 right now, right? I've helmethed on Roar, because of course she needs more damage. But you have Warcry, which gives you a permanent move speed and attack speed bonus. And the reason why we use duration over efficiency is because we helmethed on Roar also. Yeah, 10 million on a heavy. Gotta love it. So that's sort of the setup that I have. Because Roar's duration based, I modified my build to be able to have it up as long as possible. And you're gonna have the energy for it. Since you only have the energy drain from your 4 and the recast from your 1, you're gonna have your abilities up. So let's do a little bit of Steel Path gameplay. Gonna go to the first Acolyte, and we'll just call this. Willing to buy Riven slots.
Scans show Grenier are harvesting Kuva nearby. Set off the alarms to draw them out.
And a little trick I like to use is when doing this, even though the energy doesn't help you with Wellspring, the bonus power strength sure as hell does. So an additional 20.
As expected, Grenier have shut down the environmental systems, sending modified life support capsules. Use these to sustain your environment or attach new catalysts to begin harvesting.
Cast Roar. Even though we were just down to 60, the health from the equilibrium converting health orbs from the Panzer spores into energy has already got us back capped. So if you're doing like a solo run, just running equilibrium is super viable. If you want to just go have some fun killing shit. And there's the swap. Yeah, 2 million on a slide attack.
Life support incoming.
The only thing I would say watch out for is firing point blank, because we're not running prime sure-footed with this build. You can get pretty fast with the swap personally.
I've delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it while buying.
But the priming is just so potent, and you just fire it a little further away from you. And just every couple of seconds, you just throw out the glaive. Yeah, everything dies. The unprimed damage is still kind of decent for Steel Path. It's nothing to write home about.
Prepare for life support.
And obviously recast Roar when it comes up. And the reason why I'm spamming slide attack, honestly, is because the base damage on the slide attack is fucking insane. It's 750. So the alpha damage on it is pretty nuts. Yeah, see 1 million. $1.1 million on a slide attack. 19 million on a slide attack. 10 million, 700k. The damage is pretty nuts. But the issue with Valkyr is her energy. If you can keep her energy up, or say you're missing some prime mods, um, 16 million. Yeah, the damage gets pretty nuts. The energy issue is Valkyr's weakness. She is very, very energy hungry, but once you get it, like, she's good to go. But you can get overwhelmed in different game modes. Like, say, interception. Because you can't be everywhere at the same time. She really doesn't have a lot of AoE. Especially with a 4 build. There is an argument for a paralysis build with the augment. But there's just weapons that are... There's just weapons and other frames that do it better.
Will start. When you need it, extraction is ready.
$125 million, God bless. That had to be a trash mob. Yeah, and that's how you take care of the Guardians. Prime them and heavy attack them, build your combo up somewhere else. Let me see if I can one-shot this guy. Nope, shield gate. Alright, just kill him. Anyway, easy enough. Quick attacks. I went for the one bang. Didn't get it. But yeah, it's just, if you enjoy constant killing, or you're doing like a survival and you're not like farming something, or just want to see how far you go, and it's literally just kills per second, and you don't mind the run and gun with the constant swapping to keep your damage up, she can do hella damage. Like 125 million on a heavy attack, God bless. You can damage cap with her pretty easily with a heavy attack build, though. Alright, what else? Oh, her energy drain. I don't know if I said it, but let me just repeat it. The energy drain on her 4 is dependent on the percentage that's displayed at the top right. It's just going to increase over time, but if you can get the 100% energy drain down enough, it's manageable. Like, I have it at like 6.4, but I went with a duration build for Roar. See, 70 seconds. Just a little bit of energy, right? Or a little bit of power. It helps. But it's just because her 4 is a constant ability. Like, what is it? Let's look at the... Hold on, I got it up. Valkyr cannot replenish energy using Energy Vampire, Rift Planes Innate Energy Regeneration, that's Loki, Squad Energy Restores, Energy Siphon, or Wellspring. But Energy Orbs, Orokin Void, Death Orbs, that's in the Void. It's those little orbs that are on the ground that slam the ground and make the shockwaves. When you walk up to them, they give you energy. Rage, Hunter's Adrenaline, Spellbound Harvest, if you have a Titania, Energize, and Emergence Dissipate. Rest in peace. So we're using the Equilibrium set to constantly gain energy while we're running around, and using the Panzer Spores to keep our energy up. And that's how this build's working and staying up. Normally you would have to run Flow and a ton of efficiency to get this even lower. And you would basically be surviving on Energizes. Was how you used to have to play her. But you don't have to do that anymore, so her 4 is significantly stronger than it used to be. And the finisher attacks are pretty nasty on her. It's like a 120x combo multiplier, or 120x multiplier or something like that. But anyway, this is my recommended 4 build for the actual modding for the weapon. Obviously change this based on the enemy. Word of note, if you're doing a hysteria build, you're going to have a bad fucking time in arbitrations. Her prime, or her talons, her exalted weapons, counts as an ability. So you don't do shit to arbitration drones. But other than that, it's a good time anywhere else. If you're going against Infested, do a gas build. If you're against Corpus, do Magnetic. Against Grenier, do Corrosive. And just build for the one shot, because she's definitely got the damage. This is 100% steel path viable. You just saw the gameplay. Obviously kills Acolytes pretty quickly. And definitely viable for regular star chart. I would not recommend this in any way, shape, or form for arbitrations. Because like I said, her 4 counts as an ability. You can't damage the arbitration drones, so you're going to have a bad time. And also in the Zeraman Quest, I'm pretty sure there is a no ability usage quest condition, and I would strongly recommend against that. So, food for thought. Here you go. This is the build. I like my heavy attacks. I like those big numbers with her. It just feels appropriate for the frame, even though there's an argument um, against using this. Like, obviously, you could put like Gladiator Vice here, or a maybe a Killing Blow, and source your crit chance from somewhere else. There's definitely an argument for it. Especially if you don't mind oranges, you could just stick with the Glad set on the stat stick, and that would give you oranges. Um, and you could just skip crit on this altogether. Get rid of Sacrificial Steel, put another conditional mod, maybe another range mod in here. But I like the super high heavy attacks. It just feels appropriate to Valkyr. Because of like what her lore is, it just feels like she should be doing that kind of damage. I just wish it was a little bit more status chance on this, especially with Garuda talons being where they are. It just feels like it would be appropriate if she could equip acolyte mods, but that's not the case right now. But anyway, here's your build. There's a little bit of gameplay. There's a example build and talking about what you need to mod for, strength, and then after that, as much efficiency as possible to get the energy per second down. Equip equilibrium. Obviously, umbral fiber, umbral vitality does nothing here. So these are 2 free mod slots. You could even do a regular intensity here. It's fine. Just keep the efficiency up. I would say max strength and then max duration. As you can see, I have more duration right now than I do strength. Just to benefit from the additional time from Eternal War that much longer. Every kill is 4.6 seconds. So it stays up for forever. And it gives Roar as much time as possible to stay up. Because range does nothing for the 4 build. So there you go. There's my 2 cents. I hope this helps. Y'all have a blessed day.